Hi mate, welcome to Cork.
Thank you. What a day.
What a day. So this is the English market. So this is here in place from sometime around the 1780s. There was an Irish market somewhere, I don't know, off over there when the Queen came to visit. She came to visit here because she would, because it's the English market.
Hers, yeah.
Yeah.
But you get loads of mad stuff in there.
Tripe, drisheen, which are like Cork delicacies, really good fish counter, all that kind of jazz.
Oh, class. It's just, and then built around this, there's like cool coffee shops, wine bars, cocktail bars. It's all going on in Cork City.
Cork, very up and coming, and a lot of new stuff happening in Cork. But let's go visit a kind of an old school favourite of mine. I used to live here, so let's go visit an old school favourite.
Yeah, Delhi. Which way are we going?
Let's go that way.
Cool. Welcome to episode 7 of Poor Decisions. My name's Ronan Collins, or Whiskey for Breakfast.
And my name is Michael Cowman, or The Cowman Show.
Yeah, and today we are really down south. Usually I'll say, oh, we're down south, but this is probably the most southern we've been on the podcast.
It is the most southern we've been for the podcast. We were in the People's Republic of Cork. We are in the Rebel County. They only had one rebel. Do you know what they did with him? They shot him.
Yeah, they did. Because we heard in Dundalk a couple of episodes ago, they tried to, failed. Whereas down here, they just took him out.
So in fairness, Cork, I have a lot of things to say about Cork, but at least they were efficient in that sense, all right?
Michael Collins, yeah, R.I.P. But yeah, so today we are in one of our favourite bars, as we kind of always are. That's what's such a great thing about this podcast.
It's kind of the premise of the podcast, really, isn't it?
We just go to places we like to drink. You're welcome, folks. But yeah, so Cork. What is the crack with Cork? We walked around it last night and you actually had some cool wee factoids around it. But like whiskey-wise, it's quite a famous place for whiskey.
Quite a famous place for whiskey, quite a famous place for drinks. So Beamish and Crawford, Beamish, Murphy's, the two of the biggest stouts in Ireland. Obviously you have Guinness. Down south it has always been Beamish and Murphy's, and they were I think there was a divide north-south of the river. I'm not sure which one was which, but it was so Cork is similar to Dublin. It's divided north and south. And so the north side tends to be, it's similar to Dublin, like it's a little bit more working class, and the south was generally the posh side, like, you know?
Yeah, and you do, even walking around Cork, you do see a lot of like Murphy signs and Beamish signs.
A lot of old bonded warehouses and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a couple of whiskey walks here in Cork. There's a guy, Eric Ryan, who did a Cork whiskey tour. But he'll bring you down to all the old distilleries. So there's like Old Greens Distillery, and there's one out in a place called Blackpool, and I think there was 5 or 6 distilleries within the confines of the city. And there was a bottling hall until very recently, but quite a few of the buildings. There's like Woodford Burn, that was an old bonded warehouse and stuff as well. And there's quite a few of them, but they have that kind of history and heritage, and you can kind of see it in the walls and the rafters and whatever when you go in. Not in here. In here wasn't.
Oh.
But yeah, that was a different place.
Okay.
But so and Cork City in general, and it sits on the River Lee, so it has always had a bit of a maritime heritage to it as well, I guess.
Yeah. And when it comes to like places where sailors go, there's early houses in Cork. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, Cork is quite well known for its early houses. I know we discussed that in a previous episode. But so there's a place, Charlie's, which is famous with the students. Like there's like one day a year you'll see at about 6 o'clock in the morning all the students be queuing up outside to get into Charlie's. There was one, the Bridge Tavern. There's the Welcome Inn. Again, I remember coming into Cork City 9 o'clock in the morning. Welcome Inn, absolutely hopping. So that maritime history has carried across into those, and I think Cork would have probably more early houses still than Dublin, despite the fact it is a smaller city than Dublin. And it is the third biggest city on the island. It is the second biggest city in the Republic. But because we are an ecumenical cross-border podcast, it's important to say third biggest on the island.
Absolutely, and we're going to keep it that way. But yeah, so famous kind of like whiskey distilleries, all this jazz. Your man, right, so I do kind of know this story a wee bit, but Paddy Irish Whiskey, that kind of started in Cork, but it wasn't called Paddy. You used to work for them. You kind of know the story a bit better.
So it started with the Murphy's Distillery, which became Middleton. So it started in about 1825, I think it was. And so Paddy Flaherty was, I guess you could kind of say he was the first brand ambassador. He's the first, rep going around the place.
The OG.
The OG rep, where we take our inspiration from. So he was a rep, and he got very famous that he'd go into a town and they'd know, oh, Paddy's coming, and he'd buy everybody a drink. And there used to be cases where his his T&E bill is what his travel and expenses bill would be higher than his wages for that month. But he got very, very well known, and when people would send in their telegram for their order or whatever, their telegram, they would say, "Oh, give me 6 cases of Paddy's whiskey," because at the time it was known as, I think it was Cork Distillery Company Old Irish Whiskey.
Not as catchy.
Not as catchy, bit of a mouthful. And so they then just became known as Paddy. So I think he got paid about 3 months' wages for the use of his name in perpetuity. I don't think his wife was overly pleased.
Yeah.
But it's a funny one because the bottle has a map of Ireland. Nobody knows why it's the colour, the provinces are the colour they are. But there used to be an old thing that they'd say, "Oh, if you're going to have a big night," they'd say, "I'm going to drink it down to Cork tonight."
That's
so that'd be
cool.
about 3/4 of the bottle,
Almost like the first celebrity whiskey.
almost like the first celebrity whiskey. Yeah.
And like to almost turn that completely on its head in Cork, we were walking down the main street and I was like, "Who's that fella?" And there's this big statue.
So that is Father Matthew.
Good man, Father Matthew.
No, you won't like him.
Why?
So Father Matthew was the leader of the temperance movement in the kind of 1830s, 1840s, so it hit its height during the famine. But then you had, Ireland was very poor at the time. There was a lot of issues with alcohol and people drinking. So he started the temperance movement to get people to stop drinking. He was obviously very successful. But he genuinely was very successful. There's hundreds of thousands of people joined. And this was the whole anti-drinking culture. And he went to the States. And he did big tours of the States, but died in the 1850s. But he very much spoke to that kind of thing that we later saw come into Prohibition, was that kind of puritanical anti-drinking kind of thing that they wanted in the States. But it was quite big here for a while as well. And funnily enough, he is buried directly across from Paddy Flaherty in the graveyard over in Middleton.
No way. So they're standing off in death as they were in life.
As they were in life, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. But there are things I do like about Cork.
Oh, are there? Because you actually, so Michael has lived here did live here for a long time.
About 5 or 6 years.
So that's why he knows so much about Cork. And yeah, there must be some things you do like about here.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to credit the Cork Whisky Society with my love of whiskey and my love of spirits, because that was the first place I kind of started to learn about whiskey. And there was a really good society that did amazing tastings. You were talking about like stuff from the 1950s, stuff from the 1960s, and really gave me started my education in whiskey. So I have to really credit them with that.
So essentially, what he's saying there, folks, we wouldn't have the Cowman show. We would not have me haul Cowman in whiskey if it wasn't for the Cork Whisky Society.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
One rebel that really should have shot,
We also have the Shelbourne Bar. Where we
Yeah.
are. So the Cork Whisky Society, say that 10 times fast, they used to do a bit of a loop around different pubs in the town for the different tastings, and this was one of the ones they always did, and it's always been one of my favourite bars.
Yeah, so the Shelbourne Bar is where we are today, and there's probably no one better to talk about it than Mr. Shelbourne himself.
Yeah, Mr. Shelbourne being Mark Lonergan. So we'll pull Mark in now, and let's see what he has to say.
Welcome, Mark. Welcome, Mark. How are you, lads?
Hey lads, how's it going?
Hey,
Okay, good to see you. I have to say, you're not as big in real life than you are on camera. I'm kind of surprised by that.
We're going to cut that one out. But no, it's good to see you. I mean, you're looking well.
Yeah, here, Mark. I love the shirt. It's like some sort of like psychedelic mushroom thing. I must admit, I wouldn't wear it myself.
Yeah, it's actually part of the Common range.
I wouldn't even wear that.
Would you not?
That is horrific.
No.
Like, we've had some bad shirts on this show, but that is...
Could you imagine if those mushrooms were actually strawberries?
Okay, now I'm on board.
It's like that poster you had as a kid. You look at it with the swirls, and you kind of get.
Keep looking at it.
Keep looking,
something else comes out. But no, look, good to have you on the show. We have known each other for a good number of years now.
Yeah.
And you are the proprietor here in the Shelbourne Bar in Cork.
I am one of the managers here in the Shelbourne Bar.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean.
We bounce it up. Give it to the listeners. We use fancy words here.
I am the Shelbourne. No, it's a team effort.
But yeah, so tell us a little bit about the bar first, and then we maybe get into your side of the story.
Yeah, so there's been a bar on this premises since 1895. It used to be 2 bars. Behind us, you can see the 2 pillars. They used to be the dividing wall between the 2 bars. In 96, Philip bought the far side, and then 99 he bought this side and became the Shelbourne. The Shelbourne Bar is unusual. If you're looking there, it's kind of Cheers style. It's an island bar, which you don't see too often.
Did you call it a Cheers style?
You know, where everyone knows your name. Yeah. I walked in last night and everyone knew who I was.
I thought that was strange.
Nah, it happens to me all the
Because your
time.
picture's on the back of the wall.
So yeah, Cheers style bar, which is when you start working in that kind of style of bar, you have to learn. Your head becomes a swivel.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. So when you go back behind a normal bar again, like you are the greatest bartender in the world.
Would you say it's more difficult to work behind something like that?
Yes.
Okay.
But it makes you better.
And to be fair, Ronan came in last night and he hasn't been here a bunch of times, and he's like, "Where did they do the cocktails?" So I think he was impressed that you can do cocktails at all from behind that like the bar station. Like it's
a bar
tight.
where we make it happen.
Yeah.
Can we do this? Sure, we'll make it happen. So yeah, we used to do food here, and kind of the food game is over for us, and we kind of got into cocktails, and the food station became the cocktail station, and it all happens behind that really tight space.
Yeah.
But also, like last night, you got us a couple of whiskies, and a lot of your whiskey cabinets kept on the other side of the punters of the bar. So you actually had to come around, unlock stuff. So you actually are utilizing space, and it's not just a 360 bartending experience. You're also like, crap, I actually have to walk over to that wall and climb and get that bottle now. So, you're kept busy.
Yeah, it's a bit of a show as well. Like, I'm taking out this whiskey here, and people looking at you. It's 200 quid a drop. Someone would pay that for whiskey. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit fun.
Not us. We didn't pay
We
for
can't
that.
afford that.
No.
Yeah, no, I tried last night. So yeah, no, there's a bit of showmanship there, kind of bringing down the bottle, and people, what's that? And it kind of there's a lot more guest engagement when they see something like that happen, which is we think is quite fun.
Do you notice he called them guests?
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whiskey is the main thing here in the bar.
Yeah, like I would say we're all things to all people, but it is a whiskey bar.
Yeah.
You can tell by all those things behind us.
Many awards. We'll make sure Dan gets a little cutaway of all the awards. But yeah, recently bar of the year,
Whiskey Bar of the Year for the 4th time in a row.
Okay, wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, Jim Galvin was on the phone, mentally preparing us for how to do 5 in a row.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes. There's a Mayo man walking over there that's not happy about that comment. But yeah. We're delighted to get such accolades, and it's a great achievement for the team here.
Yeah. No, in fairness, has been consistently setting standards as one of the best whiskey bars in the country, and obviously the best whiskey bar in the country, according to certain people.
But you even like on your social media, possibly more so than other like just general classic bars in Ireland, you have quite like a fun social media game, which is a weird thing to say, but you do.
Yeah, something we worked really hard on that.
Kind of comes from the top down, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. That's it. Yeah.
We just thought it's our identity is the team. So the social media, if you look at it, it's the team members. It's not the product. Like I see a lot of places that do the product, and it's like that's not really selling. Whereas a smile or a look or a shake of a cocktail, that's selling. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we went down that route, and it works. And there's a little bit of humor in some of our stuff. Yeah, a lot of our stuff I shoot we can't use. There's too much humor, or too bold, or something like that. But yeah, no, it's fun. I that's part of the job I really love is driving that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you mentioned there a wee smile or a nod or a wink that encapsulates the team. Just right down the middle, camera. Give us your best Shelbourne smile, nod, wink.
How we love.
No, we're going to have to cut so much of this interview. I don't think you realise out there how much of this interview we're going to have to cut.
I've been chatting for an hour.
And you've even got the classic whiskey snugs, but they're at the front and there's windows, whereas normally we have seen snugs and they're kind of hidden away in the corners.
Yeah. So the bar was renovated in 2017. We actually put in the snugs.
Oh, okay.
The snugs weren't there. They look like they've been there.
Yeah, they do.
We used to have kind of big bay windows that you could look out, and we kind of said we just went for a slightly more cozy feel that if someone's on their lunch break and want to have a sneaky pint, not that we condone that at all. You can do it. You can do it in peace.
As long as they're not driving. Who
Yeah,
cares?
take responsibility. Or driving heavy machinery or like a forklift or anything.
Yeah, that's generally frowned upon.
Yeah. But
It's illegal.
how long? So let's get into you, Mark. Right? How long have you been here in the bar?
So I started in the Shelbourne in 2010.
Okay.
I think I might be one of the longest serving bartenders in Cork City.
Yeah, I mean the bar game, the hospitality in general. There's a good bit of churn.
Yeah, it's a transient role quite a lot of the time.
Yeah.
3 years is considered a long time in the bar game. So what, 12 and a half now? 13?
13, yeah. And it was
Fair
only
play.
10 when I started.
And he still had that tash. But yeah, okay. So you've been here quite a while.
I've been here a while. I tried to make sure it's very expensive to get rid of me.
Yeah. I love the way you didn't laugh. But so would you say you've kind of spearheaded a lot of the whiskey project?
Yeah, it kind of became my baby. We started off with 20 Irish whiskies.
Okay.
And that's about 2012, would say.
That's about half a shelf up here now, like, yeah.
Oh, the quarter maybe.
Yeah.
Started off with 20 Irish whiskies. One of the whiskies on the list was 20 quid a shot at the time.
Yeah.
And people were like, that was big money.
That was big money. Yeah.
Big money. Oh my God, you get a small mortgage for that. At the time you would have. So the customers here at the time said, you'll never fucking sell that. And I said, I took that personally, in the words of Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So I went off and learned everything about Irish whiskey. The 20 became 50. We set up a whiskey club here.
Yeah.
That predated the Cork Whiskey Society.
Wow.
And then we heard about the Cork Whiskey Society and went to one of their events and said, these guys are bluffers. Went to the event and went, oh, we're the bluffers. oh. So yeah, the 50 became 100, and then I started taking over the orders, and then we are at 500 Irish whiskies.
Okay, wow. That's an impressive selection, because there aren't as many whiskey bars in the country as you'd think that have that kind of 200 plus kind of number, and it is quite difficult to amass, and it's all Irish. That's the other thing to say. You don't do anything else, do you?
There is 2 bottles of American whiskey there, but they're made in pot still style, so
Okay.
I've allowed it.
Okay.
The Talnua, yeah.
Okay.
If someone breaks the rules like that enough, I will consider it.
Okay. So anybody listening out there, if you break the rules enough, Mark will consider it. So yeah, but that is very cool, and I think we always talk about bars, whiskey bars, that kind of thing. What classifies you as a whiskey bar?
Yeah.
So I think definitely 500 is probably putting you in that category.
Yeah, totally. And I think like Michael said there, like there's not as many whiskey bars in the country as you would think. A lot of the times we have come across bars that are like, oh, we're a whiskey bar, and they've got a great strong whiskey collection, but it's kind of the ones you would maybe always expect to see. Whereas last night when we came in and we were chatting to you, you were pulling out bottles that we hadn't actually even tasted. But you're also selling them, and you're churning through bottles, and I think that's almost core to a strong, healthy whiskey bar is, you're getting rid of the bottles. They're not just sitting up there getting dusty, and you're proud to almost have them as an antique. You're proud to sell through them.
Oh, 100%. There's places that have stuff and it's a collection.
Yeah.
We have no interest in a collection. We're here to have stuff to move it. It's merchandise at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, we have so many of our team members that know what they're talking about. Yeah. You go to places, the knowledge mightn't be there, but even if someone doesn't have the knowledge, our whiskey bottles all have a label with a description of the whiskey, the price, so someone who mightn't know everything about the inner workings of how a Rowan Coke, a cast strength is actually a Bushmills aged in a complete another port pipe.
Yeah.
They can pick up the bottle and go, oh yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is a good learning thing as well. So once you're reading them, you're learning. So the guys are always kind of picking up more knowledge. There's guys here, some of the team members that know more about whiskey than me.
Yeah.
And I put my hands up and say, they do.
Yeah.
They might have a charisma though.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. I mean, that's just natural. That's inbuilt. Hard to teach that.
Yeah, you can't teach it.
Imagine if you could bottle it.
I know.
Ode to Mark.
Ode to Mark.
Ode to Mark. Yeah, I don't think anybody would buy that. But yeah, no, that is definitely one of the things
Maybe
that
duty free.
I'm consistently impressed by here is that you have new team members, but there's always a really good level of knowledge. So I think that level of training is certainly something you pride yourselves on.
Yeah. A lot of in-house training, but a lot of it is their own passion.
Yeah.
Like they'll go to tastings, they'll go to events, they'll go to distilleries. They're pushing their knowledge. Yeah. I don't have to push them that hard for them to learn.
And then I know we kind of talk you're all things to all people. What's the general crowd? I mean, you get a lot of tourists, you get a lot of locals, you get a lot of everybody. Really.
Yeah, we do. We're really lucky in that sense. Like a lot of our locals are non-nationals.
Okay.
There's a lot of like new businesses nearby. A lot of their teams drink here, from like tech companies, media companies. We have people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Couples come in with their families. It's changed over the years, but we do have an eclectic mix of And we still have the old school guys.
Well, exactly, because I've been here for work stuff, and you come in on a Tuesday evening or whatever, and you will have the old school guys sitting up drinking a pint, and then you have a group full of Americans coming in buying 20 quid around measures or whatever. Like,
oh yeah, like even when you visited last night, there was a language crew here, pinting away, speaking their German, their Spanish, their Portuguese, whatever it was, and it's a good mix. And I think that's what bars should be. It's the sign
of a living bar. I guess
it's a melting pot.
Yeah.
And you're actually part of like a wee triangle of great venues around. Like there's 2 quite good cocktail bars either side of you. Then there's great pubs the other side. Yeah. So it's actually like I didn't really know Cork until a couple of years ago, and every time I come here, I feel like I need to go back there or there. So you've got a good wee like community in this area.
Yeah, and everyone kind of is singing off the same hymn sheet that. You're finishing up here, you should make sure you go over to see the lads in Cask and have a cocktail over there.
Yeah.
Or go to the lads in Paladar, have a nice rum. Or go to Greens, have a bit of, or 5 Points, have a sandwich. Whatever it is, everyone up here is really good at sending their buddies or the guests to their buddies over and
keep the business on McCurtain Street.
Correct and right.
Because there is only 2 streets in Cork, is that right?
There's 3.
3.
Yeah, there's Washington Street, there's McCurtain Street, and there's Patrick Street.
It's weird that Belfast is a bigger city than Cork, but it only has 1 street. Really, like
this is the Falls. Yeah. We have loads. We read a book.
You've heard of all of them, like
you have heard of all of them. Yeah. But when we were walking down one of the 3 streets, Michael pointed out a clock.
Yeah, the clock. So he's not the only liar in Cork. So the clock, the Shannon Bell's called the 4-faced liar because all the clocks don't actually match all the time. They're a bit inconsistent.
They don't. Did you know the Cork flag colours come from there?
Is that from the clock?
From the tower. So 2 sides of it are sandstone and 2 are limestone. So like they're red and white.
No way.
You get an education on this podcast every time you tune in.
It's like Poor Decisions has changed to David Attenborough. That is some amazing factoid there.
Vexillology with Michael and Ronan.
Wow, that's a big word.
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
With great difficulty. I mean,
we're sick of him.
Yeah, we're sick of him. So what we do on every show, every podcast, and I'm sure you've watched all of them.
Most,
yeah. We do a thing called Room 101. All right. So if you were to confine one thing to the bells of history to
in
never
the drinks
return,
industry,
in the drinks industry,
hospitality industry,
because I know very few people who hate reps as much as you do. But let's see what you come up with.
I don't hate reps. I just don't like being cold called.
Okay, very good. Don't cold call.
Don't.
All right. But yeah, so Room 101. So what have you selected for us for your Room 101?
and it's gone forever. Like this will not come back.
I thought long and hard about this, and I said, what is the most controversial thing I could think of? And I came up with the term mixologist.
Right?
Yeah, go on.
I don't fancy that term. I think it's a bit hoity-toity.
Okay.
I think that's someone bigging up their job.
Yeah.
A little bit. I have buddies who are mixologists or people who make cocktails. That you're fantastic at your job. Yeah. But I don't think you should describe yourself as a mixologist. It's not for me.
I mean, it's like, I guess, somebody who cleans windows calling himself a glass vision engineer.
Absolutely. That's like saying someone asked
Unbelievable. I would put that on my LinkedIn. Glass vision engineer.
That is good. That's like someone, what you do. I was like, I counsel alcoholics.
Yeah.
It's the same level of So that for me, it just.
And do you think that is a thing that has come in the last number of years?
It's creeped in the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Like really into the Irish industry scene. Like you see a CV, I'm a mixologist.
So
is that all you can do is stir a drink. You can't like open a till, or it feels like they think they're being creative, but I feel like they're boxing themselves in.
Do you hear that, Ron?
I have never charged a customer in about 10 years. I don't know how to use it.
So what do you call yourself?
I run a bar.
Yeah.
I'm a bar manager.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's fair enough, really.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, we'll throw mixologist into it.
There's a few things in there. They can smoke the vapes while they're in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, why not? Yeah, it wouldn't be my favourite term. I don't hate it as much, but, you know. But it's okay. It's okay. It's your Room 101. You're allowed to do it. So it's in the room. Close the door, Augustina. Close the door in the room.
Is it in
Make
your
a
room?
sound effect. Right?
No.
It's not mixologist. In my room.
You like the term?
No. I'm not getting into this.
He thinks he's a home mixologist, so he does.
I'm anyway. That was Mark Lonergan.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, Mark, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Usually we do this podcast with alcohol, but you didn't offer us any at the start. Do you have any like home brew?
Oh, do you know what we have our own beer on draft.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's a spiced IPA.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's called the Shelby Dasher.
Shelby Dasher sounds a bit like if like Peaky Blinders had a horse.
It's like a film
They do have
noir
horses,
detective.
actually, right? Yeah.
It's like a film noir detective.
Yes.
Who's
Yeah.
on the case? Shelby Dasher.
Yeah.
She walked in. She was all legs. She must have had 11.
You're going to the slammer. Tell him Shelby Dasher sent you.
Taking you downtown. Do you know in the history of cop movies, no one's ever gone uptown?
Yeah, well, because Uptown
Except
is the
Bruno
nice part of town.
Mars. Yeah.
Yeah, Bruno Mars goes uptown, and that girl from Billy Joel's.
Yeah,
she went-
Westlife.
She went uptown.
Yeah.
But go on, tell us about it. So it's a spiced IPA.
Yeah, so we entered a competition for a local brewery, Original 7. And funny enough, one of the team members here, Erica, won.
Okay.
And the prize was she got to design a beer.
Class.
So she came up with the idea of like a gingery. She likes ginger beer, but she didn't want to do a ginger beer. So we said we came up with a ginger IPA, and it's damn tasty.
That sounds class. If any breweries are listening, Michael and I are available to design a beer.
Yeah.
Poor Decisions beer. That'd be class. Unbelievable.
That would sell millions.
Millions of milliliters.
You need a better tagline than "Oh, that was a poor decision."
Well,
Put us on the spot.
yeah, you're not in our market.
Just go get us a beer. Go get us a beer.
Thanks, Mark. Cheers, son.
Thanks, Mark.
Bye. Ooh, Shelby Dasher beer. Slaunch it.
Sláinte, buddy.
Cheers.
So yeah, that was Mark. This is the Shelby Dasher. This is like we said, the noir detective.
Ooh, delicious. Wee bit of like grapefruit in there.
Yeah. And obviously the ginger. Mm-hmm. It's delicious.
Nice.
I could see how that'd be refreshing on a nice Cork summer's day.
Yeah, but like today. Right, so next thing, right, I have a wee game for you.
Go on.
I'm actually, and it's not like your crap games that I don't know how to play, bags of hair. We have, it's kind of come up more and more, like celebrity brand, celebrity endorsements, celebrity stuff. So I'm going to give you a list of celebrities,
Go on.
and you're going to have to tell me what they all have in common.
Right.
Ryan Reynolds,
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, Metallica,
Yeah.
Robert De Niro,
I was going to say they all own a sports team.
and
but they
Elon
don't-
Musk. That's a curveball.
Yeah. They're all men.
Oh, they are, yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, they all own their own spirits companies.
Ah, right. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Ryan Reynolds, of course, aviation.
Aviation, Elon Musk has a tequila,
I've seen that one, the Tesla kind of lightning bolt
which
tequila.
is super cool.
I think it's for 400 quid a bottle.
Nice, obviously.
Obviously, standard.
But because I know that you actually know this really well, I'm going to do another game. This is my favorite. I'll tell you, like, the name of the brand, and you tell me the celebrity.
Right, okay. Let's go.
Let's start off with an easy one. So, Indoggo Gin.
Oh, that would be Mr. Snoop Doggy Dogg.
It is Snoop Doggy Dogg. Well done. 1 point for that. Let's go for Slovenia Vodka.
Slovenia vodka. Is Martina Navratilova?
No. This is a hard one. Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. Slovenia vodka. Right, go on.
Prospero.
Prospero.
I'll give you
Is it
the
a tequila?
category. It is a tequila. Prospero tequila.
Everything is a tequila these
Yeah,
days,
it
isn't
is.
it? I don't know. Barack Obama.
Rita Ora.
Oh, I have actually seen that one before.
Last couple. Bedlam Vodka.
Bedlam vodka. Somebody from London. I'm gonna. I don't know.
Jason Derulo.
It just makes you keep repeating your name throughout the night.
And then last one. Lobos Tequila.
Oh, that is LeBron James.
It is.
Yeah.
LeBron James. And like Scottie Pippen's got one. Michael Jordan's got one.
Of course. Why wouldn't you have one?
Like there's just so many celebrities involved in booze these days.
Yeah, and I mean, I think in a recent episode, Dave in 1661 said he hated celebrity brands.
Hated them.
But I can see why, because some of them have no correlation or no connection to what they're actually doing. Like I think I'm okay, and maybe if a celebrity does a brand and they have some sort of connection to the spirit of the product,
so like
are they even actually like it?
To their heritage, where they live, and
Even liking it and being seen to be like, oh yeah, no, it's well known that X drinks.
Well, Kendall Jenner has a tequila.
So I mean, Kendall Jenner, she's one of the Kardashians, right?
She is, yeah.
So here's my thing. I would be far happier. I mean, there's so many like in Ireland, you have so many small little distilleries trying to push their own brands and whatever. And you've Kendall Jenner bringing out her tequila, rather than a small Mexican family bringing out their tequila and doing well. I'd be far happier if the Kardashians are Armenian, I believe.
Okay.
If you go back, if she brought out an Armenian brandy. And made that cool, because she actually would have the power to make Armenian brandy cool.
Yeah, she can actually tackle that category, like be the person. Yeah,
you could have the world's top 50 bars would be stocking Armenian brandy.
Absolutely, I would do the drink strategy. Kendall, hit me up if you need a drink strategy. Slide into the DMs. I'll reply this time.
But I think there are some good examples.
But tequila, before we even go,
Okay.
tequila seems to be the top category. Like The Rock is a tequila. George Clooney famously sold his.
Yeah.
Kendall Jenner, Kevin Hart has a tequila. Like, tequila seems to be the celebrity go-to one.
It is the hot category in the US, I think, at the moment. The agave spirits in general, like mezcal, tequila, seem to be the hot categories, and I think that says a lot. I mean, tequila is the highest or the fastest growing spirit category in the US, I think.
Nice.
So that will give you an indication of why they're all going to that as well.
Only one celebrity brand that I know of is a mezcal, and that's Aaron Paul and Brian Cranston, Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah, of
which
course.
I think is kind of cool, and they actually do show up at hospitality and drinks trade events, like where like regular bartenders go, and then they'll just be behind the bar making like margaritas, which I think is cool.
I do remember being at Provine last year in Dusseldorf, and Kylie Minogue was there with her wine.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was like this big trade event. There's like 13 sheds out in Dusseldorf, huge sheds full of wine out in Dusseldorf, and here's Kylie Minogue just wandering around with a bottle of wine. Like,
I just
so that's
can't
quite
get
cool.
out of my head. Here, probably saying that probably the big elephant in the room in Ireland is Mr. McGregor.
Yeah, Conor McGregor, and he was the founder of that, and has now obviously sold out of that or been bought out of that. But at least he's Irish. At least it is a category, and he was a passionate whiskey drinker, I believe. So that was so goes the word in the street.
And he's now moved on to stout as well. Again, you can see those connections. Love him or hate him, you kind of understand why he's into that.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at The Rock, right? So The Rock, Terramana, which is his tequila, doing phenomenally well. I think it broke 1 million cases in its first year or something like that. But I mean, the reason he got so big was he was doing stuff, and he was doing like Instagram lives during COVID, and like just drinking with people on the Instagram live. Like if The Rock, he's a pretty cool guy. Like, I mean, if The Rock was like, "Do you want to come have a tequila with me?" He'd be like, "Yeah."
Absolutely. Could you imagine doing like a body shot off him?
Yeah.
It would be like rainwater coming down a gutter. He's so ripped.
He's a big man. He's a
Yeah,
big
he
man.
is. Dan Aykroyd, I met him. I did a drinks competition and I served him.
Oh, for Crystal Head?
Crystal Head,
Yeah.
I called it the Belushi two-step. That was the drink. I had some patchouli because patchouli's from the hemp family.
Okay.
And big man.
Yeah, of course.
Enjoys it. Crystal Head. There's just so many.
There are a lot of random ones, and I think a lot of them tend to be tequilas. I mean, like Kendall Jenner, what's her 212 818?
818.
818, yeah. That's
That's a postcode.
Yeah. But 818, yeah. So I think there are quite a lot of them out there. Metallica have one.
Yeah, but then there's the endorsement side, which is kind of like the other side, like famously David Beckham and Hague Club Whiskey,
which recently ended recently enough, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I worked for Pernod, Usain Bolt was the CEO of Mum. He was the chief entertainment officer, and he used to just randomly turn up at these massive events and just like sabrage bottles of Mum and go a bit wild.
Like, I think if you were drinking one night and you woke up and you were a wee bit hungover, and like you went into your mates, if you were living it, like, what'd you do last night? And you were like, Usain Bolt and I were drinking champagne together. People would be like, you're lying.
So he was in a nightclub in Cape Town when I was there, and it was, say, 4 o'clock in the morning, and like he was in his VIP area popping bottles, whatever, and they stopped the music at 4. Usain Bolt jumped across the DJ booth and said, "Turn the music back on." They went, "Yeah, all right." and just turn the music back on. Because that's the kind of power that man wields.
I hope someday to share a glass with him. And I think one of my favourite whiskey endorsements, because you've got Matthew McConaughey, he's in it, but
He's a Wild Turkey. He's like,
Wild Turkey, yeah, Long Branch, yeah. But Nick Offerman,
Oh yeah, of course, for Lagavulin.
yeah, and like when you watch any of those like clips, you know, he's just like, because he plays the character he plays in Parks and Recs almost.
But that was it, because that was the other way. He liked Lagavulin. They came to him. They were like, "Oh, you like Lagavulin? Let's do something together."
Yeah.
So I think that is a really genuine example of a partnership where they're like, you know, he was like, "I really like your product. Let's."
He
do
almost dressed for the job he wanted. Like,
Yeah.
in everything he did, he was like, "I'll have a Lagavulin, please." And then eventually,
Ronan obviously wants to be unemployed.
but yeah, here celebrity endorsements, celebrity whiskies.
But I mean, there's a few in Ireland.
There is, yeah.
So you have Graham Norton,
Yeah, he's got a wine and a gin.
wine and a gin. You have is it Pippa O'Connor?
I don't know who that is.
That she was married to one of the lads from Westlife.
Right.
She owns part of Ice Still.
No way. Vodka.
The
That's
vodka.
cool.
What else have you got?
Graham McDowell.
Oh, Graham McDowell. He has whiskey. I think it's called Grey Coast.
Do you ever see that one? I think he's playing pool, and he's just like, after a long day of work, I like to sit down with a few cold ones. And he's playing pool.
I mean, are you sure that was Graham McDowell? And
No, not really, but I think it was. He doesn't watch this.
But he might. But yeah, so I think there are.
And there's more and more. And again, Shane Lowry, he's endorsed by Jameson.
Is he?
Yeah, yeah. But there's more and more. If we were, like, obviously, because we're celebrities, we should bring out our own.
Should, and maybe one day we will.
Do you know what I love more than booze? Snacks.
Welcome to Mix Pyramid of Snacks. So this week, what we're going to do is we're going to kick it back, old school classic, because the pyramid is now full. Okay, so anything that comes in from here on out, we have to make a decision to get rid of the bottom thing on the pyramid.
Oh,
So there's a lot more jeopardy in this now.
things are getting real.
Things are getting real. Producer Augustina, if you would. Thank you, Augustina.
Classic Stayto cheese and onion.
Or as you might call them,
Free Stayto. Free Stayto.
free Stayto, yeah.
Free Stayto isn't a thing. Free Stayto, yeah, because this is the southern Stayto, not the northern Stayto, and there is a difference. And maybe in another episode, we'll do the northern one. But yeah, so southern Stayto.
There's only one way to open them correctly. If you're in a pub, you have to, share them around.
Split it.
Yeah, you have to just split them, share it around. So, I mean...
No way. Here, is that in Gaelic?
Yeah.
That's not on every packet.
I think...
So
I'm not sure.
I don't think I've seen that. So it says flavoured potato crisps, but in as Gaelic underneath, it's written. I think that's cool.
Well, we're very proud of our crisps. They're very proud of us.
Yeah, but you would almost think that these were the northern Stayto. You see the colours? Yeah.
So, 1954, right? So, the only crisps you got tended to come like unflavoured with a little bag of salt in them.
Oh, yeah.
So that's that ready salt the thing comes from. And so Joe Spud Murphy.
Is that his name?
Joe Spud Murphy,
Is he
yeah.
from Cork? Sounds like a very Cork name.
It's a very Cork name, but he was Dub. Yeah, I think, or was he Meath? Might have been Meath. That neck of the woods. They're the same thing anyway. So he came up with the idea for the Stayto, for cheese and onion Stayto. I mean, who else would come up with a cheese and onion flavour?
He invented cheese and onion.
Yeah.
Well, the French, pretty much. I think the French actually invented that flavour combination.
Cheese and onion. Yeah, okay.
And then he was just like, shall put it in spuds.
Well, apart from Joe Spud Murphy,
Yeah.
the French, yeah. But Joe Spud Murphy came up with Stayto, and then that's where the northern Stayto come from as well. There was a split. They got the license to sell it up north, so there are different Staytos.
And did he look like this?
Yeah, he had a big yellow head and a black hat. But these are, I think these are the most classic of classic crisps.
Yeah, they're quintessential. Even anywhere you travel in the world, like if you get like a care package from home, you get a bag of Stayto in it because, like I suppose, like we love crisp sandwiches.
Yeah, and that again, not a thing in other countries apparently.
No, and a lot of weddings are now doing them. Like as the after the meal and all. Like butter it and stuff.
I was in a pub in Clare, and they for a fiver they were like, "Here's the bag of crisps. Here's two slices of bread and some butter." Like,
I've done in Lahinch. They just have them stacked behind
was
the
it
bar.
Frawley's in Lahinch? I think it
Could
was.
be, yeah.
What once had Ireland's oldest publican.
No way.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's get rating.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give him a little.
So Stayto also is so famous in Ireland. We actually named like an amusement park after it. So there's a big famous amusement park in Ireland called Stayto Park.
Yeah. Which is now called Emerald Park.
Emerald Park, yeah. Well, that's just because of the big fire.
Oh, there was a fire.
Yeah. The ride got burnt to a crisp. Okay, flavour-wise.
They are class. Do you know what? I don't know if it's a nostalgia element. And the thing is, individual packets are always better than the multi-packs. I don't know if that's true of each and every crisp. But certainly for Stayto, the individual packets, they're bigger, they're more flavorful. They're great. They are a great crisp. And I mean, if we run through the pyramid, mixed pyramid of snacks, I guess, what have we got? We've got like oysters, McCoy's, bacon fries, dairy milk,
Purple snack,
and the cow eggs.
cow eggs.
So
It's not really a hard one here, folks. Cow eggs is out.
I'm a little bit perturbed about that, but okay, I can see where you're coming from on that one.
Better than oysters as a bar snack?
Not for me.
Not for you.
Like if you give me a choice between 6 oysters and a bag of potato, I'll probably take the 6 oysters, I guess.
fair.
I mean, that's not going to be everyone's opinion, but this is my pyramid.
It is yours.
Better or worse than McCoy's, right? So here's the thing about these, and this is where I'm going to grade these on. You could eat more of them than the McCoy's. The McCoy's almost have too much flavor. And I think in Ireland, we like things with no flavor. I mean, that's why we sell so much lager.
That's why this podcast isn't a huge hit yet, because we're just too full of flavour.
We're just too full of
We're
flavor.
too juicy.
So for me, in the pyramid of snacks, I think they're going to go in just behind the oysters in that second row.
Straight in at number 2.
Yeah, they're just such a classic. It's
Yeah.
very hard to see how they're beaten because any pub you go to, you're going to be like, what do you want? They're salty, they're well flavoured, great crisp, taste of nostalgia. So going in, they're at that number 2 spot.
I agree. I like number 2 makes total sense. And when you order a bag of potato at the bar, if somebody gives you salt and vinegar, throw it back at them. That's not what you wanted. You wanted cheese and onion. All right. Number 2, happy days, cow eggs. Getsy fuck.
Bit sad. So, Ro, obviously, we do some little sections to finish off the show. Coming up with different sections all the time. So I have a new one for you.
Oh.
So we're going to call it the Poor Decisions, the Atlas of Alcohol.
Atlas of alcohol. As in like alcohol around the world sort of stuff.
Alcohol around the world.
Love it.
I think we don't want to get too focused on Irish whiskey and just Irish stuff because we want to expose people to new categories. So I think we'll start looking at spirits from around the world and maybe, different types of drinks,
Booze.
maybe beers, wines, booze in general.
And being like international men of mystery that we are, we travel a lot, so we pick up random stuff.
I mean, as you can see by the lovely colour I have, I'm just back from southern Italy.
Ooh.
Yeah, Puglia. Beautiful part of the world. Highly recommended. But the main grape type for wine down there is Primitivo, which high alcohol. I mean, I was in one of the vineyards and their signature wine was 17% ABV.
No way.
For a bottle of red. So yeah, big punchy style. But what they also make, and I guess more relevant to us from a spirits perspective, is Grappa.
Yeah.
So Grappa, you can do the pop.
This is quite cool.
So it's from the vineyard itself. I picked it up at the vineyard. 20 quid. 44% ABV from the Polvanera vineyard, I think. They're quite a big wine, about 1 million bottles a year. So people might be familiar. I wasn't, but it's about an hour outside of Barry, which is there's a direct flight from Dublin, Ryanair, every Thursday.
To Barry.
To Barry, yeah.
Barry.
Not in Wales.
Oh.
Yeah, not the
Barry Island.
It's not an island, but it's very nice. They used to be Serie A. I think they're Serie C now. But Grappa, right? So Grappa is made from the leftovers of the wine production.
Yeah, pomace it's called. So it's like the wine skins, the stalks, the seeds. But it's very Italian, like in French and actually in English we would call it Marc. M-A-R-C.
Okay, yeah.
And it's just like the leftover stuff.
Because it's a big northern Italian thing. So up around, the likes of your Lake Garda, up around that kind of, the Swiss border as well, is where it's a big thing up in the mountains and whatever. So the only places it can technically be made under EU law. I think it's San Marino. It's the Italian part of Switzerland and Italy.
Oh yeah, cool. And I suppose it's one of those things like, why would you use that stuff? And it's just like it's like farmers would have made this.
Yeah, I mean most spirits, when you look across Europe, particularly, well, when you look across the world, spirits were just a thing to make stuff last longer. You know, it was the fruit's going off, we'll just distill it.
Yeah,
you know, it'll keep till next year.
Because essentially, grappa, all that mark and that pomace, it's just byproduct of winemaking.
Yeah.
So you have all this stuff left over, and agriculturally, they're like, can we push this any further?
Yeah. So I think it's a big enough thing in parts of South America as well, because of the Italian immigrants into places like Argentina, Agostina, Uruguay, etc. So it is a bit of a thing. But let's get it open.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've had some grappa, but
I hope there's a cork on it now that you can actually do a pop. I actually don't know because I just bought this from the distillery or the brewery
No, it looks like a
vineyard.
It looks like a cork. Oh wait,
this is it's a bit of an up. We should have done this beforehand.
I know. Right there. Grant. Oh, look at that cork, right? Right, folks, are you ready to rate that pop? Oh, here, look. I had to flex to get that out. Oh, that didn't want to come out at all. It was like pulling a tooth.
Oh, did you do an Iron Man recently, did you? Huh?
I did, yeah.
Throw it in there. So grappa, right? For me, I'm a little bit reticent because grappa for me always, I'm not the biggest fan. There's very few spirits categories I don't like. It kind of sits up there with Baiju for me as something I'm not, I can't get behind, but I do keep trying. it.
42%.
42, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, 42% ABV. Generally sits somewhere between 35 and 60 usually.
Yeah.
But it's an after dinner drink. It's how they, that digestive kind of thing.
Here, the nose isn't too big and bold. Like I was expecting it to kind of like blow the bloody doors off. But
Yeah. I mean, I do always think there's a little bit of a nail varnish note to grappa.
But there's a woody sort of, you can kind of get that there is, like it's not
The
fresh
stalks
wine.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
stalk, yeah. Right? Sláinte. Cheers. Or what do they say in Italy?
Sláinte.
Salute.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Go for it. So what you get, you're getting all those notes. There is a bit of freshness to it and stuff as well, I think, but
It's grand. It is definitely earthier than you would expect. A
know
wee
what?
bit of floral note at the end.
I've had some really terrible ones. I've had some really, really bad ones because again, it can be just made in someone's shed. But that's okay.
Yeah, it's drinkable. It wasn't as fruity as I would want.
No, I think it's a little bit flat, maybe.
Yeah. But there is a wee touch of floral element to it. But 42% is actually very easy to drink.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the big brands are like Nonino and Nodino and stuff. Are a couple of the kind of bigger grappa brands, but it's not a huge category. It is the national spirit of Italy, which is they don't do a huge amount of spirits.
No.
So they do a lot more amaros and wines and that kind of thing. But that's fine.
That's grand.
That's one of the better ones I've had. I think usually I have a fairly adverse reaction to it, but that's all right.
Yeah, that'll do the job. It's a nice one to open the atlas of alcohol with.
Yeah, and I don't think you'll be finding many grappas in your local bar in Ireland, certainly.
And if you do just grappa one off the shelf.
Hey! But I think it's worth trying. It's worth trying.
It is.
And I think every spirit category is worth trying. And I almost prefer tasting stuff that's bad because I think it's more educational because there's a lot of stuff that just tastes the same out there.
Yeah, it's just boring.
Yeah, just boring. Don't be boring.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, actually on that one, so just a huge thanks to Mark and the crew at the Shelbourne for bringing us in,
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
It has actually been a pleasure. So thank you so much, and the people of Cork for welcoming us with such open arms.
Back into their bosom.
Yeah. But yeah, cheers for watching this episode of Poor Decisions.
Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, do subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the
more money we get.
And the more tolerance the producers give us. Yeah, thanks very much for watching, and hopefully see you soon. Ciao for now.
Ciao, Bella.
Ciao. Oh, yeah. Do you speak more Italian when you drink?
Yeah,
grappa?
you drink grappa and you just speak Italian. No speak Italiano.
No. Yeah, I'm grand with that, actually. Where's the Tato?